thing. So if you are live, I'm just going to describe it. We're live! Amazing! Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and in particular, middle grade, especially Amari lovers. I am so excited to be here and be ready to chat about the last installment we have had so far, Amari and the Despicable Wonder. I'm going to adjust the screen ever so slightly because I feel like I'm very far away from the camera. So firstly, apologies for any problems with sound or any like weird blurry screeniness going on. My laptop is very, very old. So apologies, I don't have control of it. I haven't really done this on my phone before, and I think it would just be very tiny. And this way I actually get to see the comments in the chat as we're talking. So that's why I'm choosing my laptop. But I think it's not too bad. I think you can see the Amari books in the background. I'm very excited. I do love the covers of all of them. And I'm so excited to just talk to you about Amari and the Despicable Wonders, because I had a great time with the book. I really, really enjoyed it. So I am going to be chatting through a few things. I was hoping to make a few more notes, but I got as far as a spider diagram and then didn't have time to do anything else. So that's what we have. So apologies. I did read this at the beginning of September. So if you saw the first live where it was a sprint and it was very much starting to read the book, I really enjoyed reading along. Tiffany was there and was reading along with me, which is really nice. And then we continued after that finished. We then continued to kind of read that book over the next few days and talk about it in my Discord, which is Middlegrade Mad Chat, which is a Discord specifically for the enjoyment and love of middle grade books. So if I'm a bit hazy, that's why. I totally intended to make sure I had my notes to get names and things correct, but it didn't happen. So we're just going with it, and there could be some waffly, fumbly, mumbly bits going on. So, feel free to just take a little bit of time out, have a book by. If I tell yourself to have a little chat whilst I look something up, that's kind of what we're going with. It's just very casual. We're not doing a full critical in-depth of the book. It's all about the joy, all about the fun and the excitement for this fantastic middle grade series, because it is one of my favorites. And I'm so pleased to be just really enjoying my fantasy, my whimsy within this book series. So I'm going to start off. So please let me know in the chat any thoughts you have, anything you want to discuss, anything you want to bring up. And we're going to start off with non-spoilers. Again, laptop very old. I can't do those lovely bars across the bottom where it says, spoiler time, non-spoiler time. It doesn't work. I have tried. And my laptop is like, no, that's not going to happen for you. So we're just going to cope. We're going to do our best. So we're going to start off with non-spoilers and just like general feelings about the book. So please do share them in the comments. And then we will go into sort of more in depth, going into the spoilers, sort of like talking about the specific bits that we enjoyed, didn't enjoy, what we thought of the plot, the character arcs, and then kind of focusing on the end and what we're hoping for, how we felt about the end, what we are thinking looking forward, because B B Alston is writing book number 4. I don't know when that is going to be due. I don't know if it's going to be this year. I feel it's either going to be, it's not going to be this year because it's 2024. My brain's in the September. My brain is in the academic year, which would finish in 2025, August. Anyway, waffle aside. So I don't know if we're going to get it sort of like autumn time 2025 or if we're going to get it like spring 2026. I don't know. But we'll see. So that's what I want to hear about, like all your thoughts and all that jazz. And I probably will also be talking a little bit about middle grade Readers' Choice Awards and some more books that have been coming out that we are excited about. And by we, I do mean the communal we. Tell me about your books as well in the chat, and we can just all have a good time. So I'm not doing my teacup gimmick because it's a live. It's not quite the same as One Shot No Editing, but I do hope you have a nice drink with you. So cheers, everyone. Let's get chatting. I've been doing a red bush tea at the moment. I've been drinking quite a lot of them because we're out of PG tips and I haven't got around to going and getting some more. So I'm like, what other teas have I got? It's not giving me the caffeine hit, but it's giving me a very relaxed, nice, chilled out hit. So I'm enjoying my red bush tea. Okay, Amari, first initial thoughts on finishing the book. I really enjoyed it. I think I need to kind of sit with it for a little bit, because I've read these two twice, so like I've consolidated my love for them. Whereas I've read this one and there was quite a lot happening, and sometimes I read quicker and don't take it in as much because I need to kind of get the characters to somewhere safe, or I need to get them to the next bit. So I think with this one, there was definitely a lot of things that I loved, and there were some bits that I wanted that we didn't quite get, and some bits that I'm not too sure how I felt about it. But in terms of the theme, I really enjoyed it. In terms of like having an introduction to a few new characters, a few new places, I really enjoyed it. So I found all of that wonderful. Amari's still amazing. All the characters in here, I still really love their little group. I still enjoyed the storyline with the villains. I enjoyed the plot. The plot's always like really interesting. But I think I'm also very aware that I am reading this as an adult, and it is intended for middle grade. So I'm also bearing that in mind as well, that there's things that I want as an adult as well as someone who enjoys middle grade books. And we've got Vidania in the chat. She says, hi, Chatty. Hello, everyone. I just got Amari 3 now. When I will finally have time to read it is another story. But the important thing is you have it in your hands, Vidania. Like, that is the first step. And at some point, you will have that moment. And I highly recommend wait for that moment when you're just going to enjoy it, because it's just going to be so much better. And you've got all this anticipation time. You could read it. You could read it to Elsa. I'm sure she'd love it. I'm sure she'd think it's great. Just don't let her near it, because I don't know if she's a bit of a sicky baby. She might vomit it. But yeah, just read it. It'll be great. It'll be great fun. Yeah, so that's kind of my initial feelings, and I will dive more into them. So I'm just going to have a little sort of like chat about, is there anything else I can do non-spoilers? I feel everything else I'm going to start going in. I'm going to see if I can sort of like talk about things I want to talk about without spoiling anything, and then come back to them going more in depth. Let's try it that way. And Vidani says, I'm sure she will love it. Of course she will. Of course she will. She's going to have good reading taste, just like you. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the characters in this book. So if you haven't read Amari and the Great Game, and if you haven't read Amari and the Night Brothers, actually, let's have just a little brief chat about them. So Amari and the Night Brothers, obviously, is the first book, and let's get it up. Here we go. So this is where the story starts off. This is where you're introduced to the world, introduced to the characters. And what I love so much about this setup is I really love a story where there is a lot of prejudice against the main character, which makes me sound slightly sadistic, but I just really enjoy, I get a lot of emotional satisfaction from just rooting for someone like against all odds, for them continuing to be who they are, despite everything that life throws at them. I really enjoy exploring prejudice and breaking it down, because I think it's such an important thing as humans that we have, where we survive by judging people. Like, we make first impressions, we make snap judgments, because we are trying to attune to how to cope with that situation and that person, and how to kind of present ourselves best in that particular scenario. And I just think that, I'm not sure where this hand is going, like a wave. And I just think what's really important is how we then, from information we are then given, change those judgments. So like, just being aware that we are predisposed to judge people based on our knowledge of the world so far, but that we know we do it. So we are always giving people the benefit of the doubt, and then reforming our opinions as we get to know someone. So in this book, mild spoiler, Amari looking for her brother. He is gone missing, but she gets a secret message to go. She ends up at the Bureau of Supernatural Investigations and is sort of initiated into their summer program. Each person touches a crystal ball for their gift to be magnified. They get a certain amount of magic in them and it's magnified. But with Amari, she's got a lot of magic in her anyway, so that is magnified, and it turns out she is a born magician. And magicians are not are seen as evil in this world. So immediately she's going to get judged on that. And she's already used to being judged because she goes to a predominantly white school. She is Black. She is from a working class family. She is from an area that people look down on. And she's in there on a scholarship, so she's poorer than the other people that go there. So she's already used to facing a lot of prejudice, and then she gets to face it in the magical world, because why would Amari catch a break? Then we meet characters in here, and the story continues, and then it is picked up again in The Great Game, where we get more from magicians. And there's more pressure on Amari. Why am I still holding this book? We've moved on to The Great Game. So there is more pressure on Amari in The Great Game. She's learning more about her powers. There's some new characters. There's new ways of doing things. There's a disaster in the world. Again, there's more prejudice. There's an aspect of press in here. That all of which Amari has to deal with. And the end of this book is quite a cliffhanger. And that is where we get into Amari and the Despicable Wonders. So what was particularly different about this book is because of the ending in Great Game, we're in a slightly different place in this book. Okay, so now I am going in spoilers for Amari and the Night Brothers and Amari and the Great Game. If you want to read those books and you haven't read Amari and the Night Brothers, go read that. If you haven't read Amari and the Great Game, go read that. And then you can come back and pick it up from here. You've been warned. Why are you still here? Shoo, 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 shoo. Off you skedaddle. So, end of Amari and the Great Game. We have Harlow is now fully in control of the Bureau. And Merlin is still frozen with all the, what were they called? It's not Constitution. Congress. All the Congress members? Yes. So Merlin was frozen with all of those. Amari just found out why, and then gets pulled into the Great Game, and they leave Lara behind in that very difficult situation. And Amari and Elsie are whisked off to the final task in the Great Game, where Amari has the last showdown with Dylan. And Amari is given this, all hell is about to break loose. She's got storm powers, as well as illusions. And she's about to full storm at Dylan and defeat him. But then she's like, I don't want to go down that path, because once I start losing control, I'm just going to be an out of control magician like everyone said I was going to be, and I don't want that. So she stops herself. She has beaten him still. And then there is a ultimatum. I can't quite remember. I've already reread this and I can't quite remember exactly how it goes down. But ultimately, Elsie is held captive and with a knife at her throat. And if Amari doesn't give Dylan one of her rings, he is going to, or was it Cosmo? I can't remember. Anyway, that basically Elfie's life is on the line. And Amari's like, do not hurt Elsie. Don't you dare come for my amazing were-dragon best friend. Take it. I have no other choice. I have to save Elsie. And then, so that's where we are in this book. She's lost the Great Game. Dylan is now in charge of all the magicians. Basically the world is going to hell. The only plus side we have going for us, I mean, apart from Elsie being fine, is that Quentin is awake. And that is how we start the story. And the reason I've really dwelt on that ending of the book, apart from to let you know where we are, is because that point of Amari not sacrificing Elsie, of Amari putting Elsie above, for want of a better word, the greater good, the bigger picture, is an important point, and that becomes quite a bit of a theme, I think, in this book. So that's where we start off. So it's very different. There's no kind of casual end of school feeling. There's no sort of warming up, getting ready to go to the bureau. Amari is pretty much one of the public enemy number ones out there, thanks to Harlow and her unstoppable propaganda machine. So they're wanted by Harlow and the Bureau of Supernatural Investigations. And they're also wanted by Dylan and all the magicians. So they need to hide. And Quentin wants to make sure that he is a secret for now. And Quentin automatically, now he's awake, he is back in full Bureau vanquish mode. He is the I want to say poster boy, but that's not the right word, because he's the full thing. He's the top agent. He's everyone's favorite person. He's the one everyone comes to in a crisis. So he's in control. He's got the case. He's taking over. He's leading the kids. He's adulting. But obviously, Dylan has been in a coma for 2 years. So Amari is 2 years older than what she was when Quentin last saw her. So Quentin's basically gone to sleep, or gone into work one day, said goodbye to his kid sister, gone to do bureauing, fighting Monroe, one of the Night Brother magicians, and then suddenly is in this coma, and then wakes up, and here is his little sister, who is now 2 years older and has done a lot of stuff, a lot of magical stuff. She's kicked a lot of magician butt, and but Quentin still, he doesn't know that Amari. He knows the Amari from 2 years ago, who didn't know anything about the supernatural world. And Elsie and Amari has just gone through this really big, impactful thing. We've got Jaden there as well. They're all hiding. And usually we have this, I can't remember who it was who said this, but it was like Scooby-Doo vibes of, it's the gang going off to solve a mystery, and these dumb, I would have gotten away with it if these dumb kids hadn't got involved. All of that kind of fun, silly vibes, but it's a little bit more high stakes than Scooby-Doo. But it's the kids solving the mystery. That's what happens at the heart of books. So there's definitely a sense of realism here of they have been consigned to kids again. They are being protected. They've got to listen to Quentin. They can't just dash off and do what they usually do. Also, they're dealing with the after effects of, what's just happened. So Amari's dealing with a lot of guilt. And what I did really appreciate was, although those feelings happened and those things happened, I felt there was a really good amount of time dedicated to Amari soul searching, feeling the guilt that she could have stopped Dylan, but she didn't go full crazy weather magician on him. She didn't sacrifice her best friend, although she is wondering if that is her fault. She's also very guilty for, having to go to the Great Game, and they just abandoned Lara by herself. So she's got a lot of guilt. She's processing a lot of things. Her immediate reaction is to not worry her friends and just try and keep it in. But who do we have here? For those without the eyeballs, I'm talking about Elsie. My finger is on the picture of Elsie. Elsie not only is an amazing were-dragon who is super clever with amazing gadgets, she can also read auras. And she is not about to let her best friend, who has just saved, thrown away everything for her, essentially, including the world, go through and pretend everything's fine when it isn't. She's like, no, we're not doing that. Come talk about feelings, because we know it's much better. We don't bottle things up. We talk about feelings because we have healthy mental health here. We share. We support our friends. We're all in this together. It's fine, which is why we love Elsie. And I also love that we've got Elsie and Jaden basically being that is Amari okay, checking in crew. I really like this friendship between Jaden and Elsie. I think it's really lovely. They've kind of bonded over being like people who really have Amari's back when all the chips are down, and just thinking that Amari is amazing. But I'm also able to be like real with her as well, and like, you know, tell her stuff like, stop being secretive, stop thinking you're going to do everything yourself, tell us what's going on. So I thought there was a really good exploration of all of that, and it didn't last too long. It didn't drag on. I think it was nice enough to have that, and then we progress and move forward. And there's other things that we need to be worrying about and thinking about. There were some really fun moments here, hiding in motels. There were some also really heart, like, you know, full on like heart. I've realized I'm kind of, it's early book spoilers. I'm not, yeah, remember, we're not in spoilers. I'm not dissecting the book. Okay, great. Thank you. Mental note to self. So where was I going? What point was I making? So yeah, so we're in a very different place. Very different place at the start of the book. We're not at the bureau. There's no chance of us going to the bureau. We are in hiding. We are on the run in the magical world. And it's not Amari and gang calling the shots and puzzling things out themselves. They are answering to Quentin. So again, I thought this was a really interesting point. I'm just going to put the book down because it's going to start to make my arm ache by holding it up so much. And I'm going to have some tea as well. So I thought that was a really fascinating kind of like point to be working on. It did feel very different in all of that. But there was also part of me that was like, oh, I kind of missed the magical whimsiness that we had at the bureau. And like, this feels like very much like end game stakes, can't really ease in gently. But again, B B Alston does a really sort of wonderful job of allowing the characters like all this chat time, conversation time, and like moving us along and giving us the wonderful whimsy. Which led to one of my favorite places in the book. There is a haunted house aspect in this book. There's a like very much the enjoyment of Halloween and how that kind of explores in the supernatural world, and it was done in a really like really fun, whimsy way. So I really appreciated that. We move on as well to finding out like what's happening with Harlow, what's happening with Dylan, and sort of trying to balance out this Amari and the Scooby-Doo gang go on adventures, and also Quentin needs an older brother. So we kind of have a little bit of like Quentin with his plan going and doing his thing, and then the kids sort of like sneaking out and doing their stuff, or the adults. So it was quite a tricky balance to make, having it being realistic. I think this is something like for all middle grade that is very tricky, because you want the children essentially to go and have their adventures and to do things for themselves and grow as characters. And it's so much harder to do that when you've got adults around, but also having adults around in supportive, nurturing, mentoring roles is also, I think, really wholesome and really wonderful. And I also love that aspect of it as well. So it's like trying to allow the children to go in a realistic way, but also doesn't make the adults look like out of control idiots. It's something like I've kind of come across in some middle grade books where I'm like, I am questioning the adults in this story here. So I do think it's a really kind of hard, like it's a fine balance. And I think B B Alston did do a really good job of it. It did very much feel like there was a mission happening from sort of like the bureaus have got their job to do, and we're keeping the kids safe, but the kids are able to kind of sneak out and crack on with the bits that they feel important and the things that they want to help with. And I did really appreciate that. However, the adult part of my brain was also like, but how's I kind of wanted to hear from Quentin, and I wanted to hear from that side of things, like how that was going, like how did they do the jobs they went off to do? Like, how did that look? How did that fall out? How did they feel? But that's my adult epic fantasy brain kicking in, where I want all the viewpoints. That's not the point of the middle grade story. The middle grade story is Amari's. It's about her journey. It's her viewpoint we need. So I can shut down those things that I kind of wanted to see. And again, we do get this sense of mystery, this way of working through the problems. We do explore trying to get all the gang back together, and there are some new characters, and those new characters I think do help explore and develop some of the themes in this book. And you do have this, do you trust people, do you not trust people, how do we feel about this? So we got a little bit more of an insight into the magicians and how the magicians look with Dylan in charge. I would have liked a little bit more of that. I would have liked to have hang out a bit more with the collective of magicians and see that collective of magicians and go down a little bit of more of who is okay with these policies, who is not okay with these policies. We got a few new characters, but we didn't get, I would have liked more variety of the characters that we could have had. So there was a little bit of, I would have liked, it had the potential to kind of go in that area, which I would have enjoyed, but we didn't go there. That wasn't the story that B B Alston wanted to tell, which is fine. It's his book, it's his story. I would have liked to explore that a little bit more. It was like teased to us, but we didn't fully go in there. Oh my goodness, it's nearly 8:30 already, and I'm still on mild spoilers. If I've definitely clarified that that's where we are. So yeah, so there was that aspect. I thought the Harlow and the Bureau storyline worked. We had a lot of Harlow in the last book, so I was quite happy to have moved on to the Magicians for this one, but still seeing kind of like how what she's done kind of came around. And there were things that played out that I wasn't expecting, and plot points and the ways that B B Alston spun stories that I thought was really clever and worked really well. And it did come back to the themes. It tied into the themes that were explored in this book. So like I've already mentioned, like the idea of the sacrifice, what do you sacrifice? What is like your duty versus your like emotional family ties and personal, like duty versus personal, like that kind of like was looked at a little bit in here. And also the kind of theme of, you know, adults needing to protect the kids they love. I thought those were kind of explored really, really well in here, and I felt that they did kind of come full circle and kind of link in, and I really appreciated that. I do love a theme being explored in a book. Characters, Amari obviously goes on a character arc, and I think I really enjoy that. Not a huge arc for Lara, but she still gets that trajectory of kind of dealing with, you know, her brother and her sister and her parents and how she kind of fits in and feels about it. And she did actually have quite an arc. There were certain things that happened with Lara that I did really appreciate, like how she reflected on her past behavior. I thought that was done pretty well. And we got a little bit more around Dylan as well within that. The one that was missing for me was Elsie. We didn't fully go down. We got a much more of an Elsie plot in Amari and the Great Game. So we had her like amazing, like going off. She's going to be going off to Oxford. She's going to be doing all these fantastic things. It's going to be really exciting. And that worry that Amari has about losing her best friend, trying to be happy for her, but like ultimately going, oh my goodness, my life is going to be so rubbish when you're not here because you're one of the only lights in my life. And also Elsie's continual struggle with being a were-dragon and managing that. And we got slithers of were-dragon, and we did get more of her looking at her relationship with Lara, because it was touched on in the first book that they used to be close. And then Lara's a bitch, and Elsie's not, so that wasn't ever going to work out. And then, you know, Lara grew up and they're kind of back working together, and it's sort of like seeing them patch up their friendship. I thought was done. I thought that was really lovely. But I wanted more about, is Elsie going to leave? I know it's hard to kind of talk about like, your career when, you know, we're trying to save the world here. But I would have liked some mention of it. Maybe we're going to get that in book 4. I also wanted more Elsie were-dragon. And there were also times in the book where we heard about Elsie and Jaden, but we didn't get to go and see things that they were dealing with. And I felt that was slightly missed. Like I wanted to hear more about them. And I know Tiffany did as well, because we were speaking about it. Okay, we're now going to full on spoilers. I am full on spoiling everything that happens in this book. So if you have not read Amari and the Despicable Wonders, I'm sorry, we are going to have to say goodbye to you now, because I'm going all in. I want to talk about favourite bits from it. I want to talk about more detailed about what I loved, what I wanted a bit more of, all of those things. So I'm just going to say bye-bye if you haven't read it, because we're going in. The spoilers are spoiling you've been warned. You are now here by your choice. It's not on me if it gets spoiled now, okay? That's on you. On you. So, so if you have any thoughts that you want to put in here, like what bits were your favourite from Amari and the Despicable Wonders? Do you have a favourite side character that came from this book? Did you have a favourite wonder? I haven't even spoken about the wonders yet, but I really love the concept of all of those. I'm going to find that bit in the book actually where it talks about all the wonders. Just random side note on the wonders. One of the things that I know me and Tiffany were talking about was when they're talking about the mural that tells you all about the wonders. They're trying to find this mural that Dylan's got about the wonders. And to me, a mural is attached to a wall. It's like a giant painting on a wall, like it's on stone. I don't know how you move that around. And they mentioned it was on stone, but it sounded portable. I can't quite work out the logic of it. My brain can't picture it. So I would love some artwork, please, of the mural of the Despicable Wonders so I can understand exactly how it looked. Because they did talk about this stone and then they brought it with them. I don't understand. I don't know. How did you bring a stone with you? It's like, it's not like a pebble. It's like a pillar. I don't understand it. In my head, it's like they're carrying around like you know those like notice boards. It's like they've got a stone notice board they're carrying around with this mural on it. Anyway, I have completely gone off topic on my confusion of the mural. Okay, I found it all. Okay, so we have the crown of excess, which you recognize as that is the crown that the winner of the great game gets. That's Vladimir's crown that has got Vladimir's power into it. There is only so much magic one man can possess, so our master crafted an item capable of storing limitless power. And then I think, then you don't get the other bits until further on in the book, where it talks. Here we go. Da-da-da-da-da. Where it talks about the curses and things, which is really fun. So, the curse is, while the crown's capacity is limitless, the human body is not, and the mind will be the first to crack. The remedy is by taking on apprentices, one may disperse the magic to others and thus lessen the strain of the mind. And I didn't realize until the end the importance of that, talking about how the magic of Vladimir was passed on to all the magicians and their apprentices, and like this how this shared power kind of comes into being, whereas Dylan is just gathering more and more of the power together. So I did very much kind of enjoy that. The time gem, which we know of and we can't use at the moment, by far our master's most difficult challenge to create. Time has no master save the bearer of this gemstone. And the curse is to manipulate time is to forfeit your own. Remedy, the discovery of vampire curse provides immortality, giving us infinite years to sacrifice to the gem. I still haven't fully got to grips with that one. So it's like it's load. I think they had to load it with a lot of their time, and that's why they're immune to it. But anyone who's not a magician will get caught in that time freeze. Are particularly able to use at the moment. Spark of life. To breathe life into the life of our master's crowning achievement and the start of his dark descent, convincing them he is a god among men. I mean, that sounds plain scary. Do we get the remedy and the curse for that one? No, we only get it for those. Okay, so we only get it for the crown of excess and the time gem and the blade, the regretful blade. Do we get it for the lens? Because I know that's the one they were going for. That was their favourite. No, we get it for the lens. And then you've got the blade and the lens of increase. So quite frankly, I don't know if I'd want any Despicable Wonders. The pressure is too much. But if you have one, which if you had to have one, which one would you choose? Probably the time freeze one. I just think it might be handy every now and then to just cause a little bit of time freeze. Oh my goodness, my battery's gonna go. Saved? Are we safe? It's not gonna die on me. Is it gonna die? No, I think we're good. We're good. I always do that. Plug my laptop in. Forget to turn it on at the socket. Clever. But I did enjoy this like wild goose chase we had to go and find to like the mystery of the wonders, the lore of the wonders, going to kind of explore where they were, and it also kind of builds into the kind of magician history. I did enjoy all of that stuff, but I'd like some wonders that were less scary, some more magical artifacts that are slightly less scary. Maybe we'll get some next time. I don't know. But I did appreciate all of that, and I like sort of like the curses attached to them, and the remedies. And I did enjoy sort of like the places they went to kind of like try and get them and try and find them. And we'll talk about the ending later. Yeah, so that was my thoughts on all the wonders. The plot of the book. I've already mentioned the like things that I really liked about it and things where I was like, oh, I kind of hoped we were going to go in this direction, and we didn't quite go there. I very much enjoyed the fugitive on the run feelings. Like the car chase was brilliant. That was so much fun. And like going into like the different layers, seeing more of the Bureau's world. And it was really nice to see Quentin in action as well, because we've heard all about him. So it was really fun to watch him in action, just take over this taxi. Yeah, it was quite terrifying. And then going on to like go and find his contacts at this haunted house. And I loved the haunted house. I've moved on to settings again. But it's like the fugitive kind of side of things I did really enjoy. I love the idea of infiltrating a ball. And I did enjoy kind of like where it led to and kind of how we ended up getting there, like to the ultimate like showdown between Amari and Dylan. I did appreciate how we did all of those things. The things that I found frustrating, because I was really hyped for it. I was hyped for the potential, and then we didn't get the delivery, was the infiltration of the ball and Elsie going full were-dragon at a ball. I was like, yes, I am here for this messy drama of Elsie just causing chaos, utter chaos, at this really fancy ball, just in were-dragon form. I just think that would be amazing and really like badass and fun. We didn't get it. We didn't get full-on rampant were-dragon, which I'm sad about. We were also teased a little bit that Harlow had found Elsie and Jaden and then wiped Amari's memory of it. But we as the reader knew that happened. But then we didn't get to kind of follow it through. Like we knew that tension, that tense moment, it didn't go anywhere. Like I really wanted Amari to then have that worry about where are her friends, what's happened to them. And I know she was dealing a lot with Lara and then everything kind of happening, but I would have liked her to be like, to like maybe have Lara, like, and then be like, right, we're meeting here, and where are they? Oh my goodness, where have they gone? And the worry of like people coming in, are they going to recognize her? Is her brother going to come and find her because the Bureau's here now? And then her needing to go and find Jade and Elsie. Like I would have loved that. Maybe that was kind of there and had to be cut to make it a certain length. I don't know, but I just felt like we were teased with it, and then it was like, oh no, but actually they're fine and they're over there, and we'll all go home now. It just felt a little bit like a so yeah, I was a bit sad about that one, but generally, like I thought that was I really enjoyed the Lara versus Amari moment where she's been brainwashed by Harlow. I loved the message she sent to Amari before, where she was getting really suspicious of it. And and I really enjoyed all of that. And I really enjoyed the disguise and infiltration of the ball. I thought that was all great fun. And the carrying on with the plot, like we really again got to expand on the world. We got to go to the sightless depths, which was really terrifying. That was really dark. That was really dark, and I think it was really great, like just seeing the friendship and how all of our 4 crew, our Scooby-Doo gang, how they all have like their different strengths, and like the teamwork involved in getting everyone there and like coming and leaving again. I thought all of that was brilliant. It was so much fun. Yeah, I think for me it was kind of like we were sort of the other things, like whilst all that action is going on and they're doing all these different bits and pieces, it was hard to kind of work out exactly what was happening with the other agents. Like that was the other bit of my adult brain going, but I also want to know, like all of this stuff's happened. I kind of want the adults' reaction to it as well. But that's my adult epic fantasy brain going on. In terms of following Amari and her journey, there was lots of peaks and troughs. There were lots of highs and lows. It was all kind of leading to somewhere. You were finding out more information about all the different things, all the character arcs, as Amari continues to like process it, what all these different things mean. Like there's a looming sacrifice coming up, and from what she remembers from Elsie, from how she knows other people might feel about her, like I really enjoyed all the teasing of that, and we have a few more examples that I will talk about in a moment. But also Amari's relationship with Quentin I did really enjoy as well, and I thought it felt very realistic in certain aspects, but I needed a little bit more of Amari and Quentin just having fun brother and sister times as well, because for Amari to feel the hurt from some of Quentin's judgments and from some of the things that Quentin did, I need to see a bit more of them bonding and getting on. I really appreciated their difference of opinions, and Amari really rankling that her brother is treating her like she was 2 years ago, understandably, rather than like, I'm an agent too, like I've done stuff. I'm also a magician. I mean, I've not got my powers at the moment. That's another thing I'm going to come on to. But like, I've done a lot of really good stuff. I'm not going to just sit safely in a house while you go and deal with it. Like, I can help. I want to help. You need me to help. And I don't agree with some of your decisions. I thought all of that was great. I really appreciated the tension in that. And again, I thought it felt very realistic in terms of like their relationship and where they were, and how Amari's continued to grow, but Quentin has stayed at the same place. So I enjoyed all of that. Yes, Amari's magic powers. I'd forgotten that when we started, she has her magic wiped. So there's no, because Dylan's got it all. So she's only got a teeny tiny amount of magic left. So that was amazing with the tension. But I also loved how it didn't feel lesser. Like we were used to in the other books, her like being able to like spout illusions and like storm powers and things like that. She hasn't got that now, but she still kicks ass and she's still awesome. And I just loved all of that stuff, like how they were using it, how they managed to like keep going and make things happen. I just thought it was brilliant. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Again, I've kind of already spoken sort of about Elsie and how we didn't really get that character development that I was hoping for. Going into more, and I've spoken about Quentin, going into more specifics for Lara, I did really like that we got to see her in her home and see her not great relationship with the housekeeper. So the paid staff, she was really mean. She was really mean. She was spoiled. She was entitled. She was very privileged and unaware of how privileged she was. And having been brought low because of her sister being having been raised with magicians are trash, magicians are evil, and then finding out the person she loves best in the world, her older sister, is actually one, and so is her brother, but her brother's completely twisted and evil. Just like thrown everything around for her, as well as also, you know, she failed the junior tryouts, and she's in her dad's sort of bad books, but not too bad, because like she's the only child who's got left, because he's just, you know, abandoned the other ones because of their magicianness. She's had to go through a lot of change really, really quickly, and then the how her and Amari started to kind of like work together, and, you know, for their shared love of their siblings, and like wanting to help them, and also their hatred of Dylan, it did bring them together, but there's still like unfinished business in terms of like Lara's character that needs to be explored, because she was awful in the first book. And so I thought it was really good how she did do a bit of reflecting, and she started to be more self-aware of how she would have looked at other people, and kind of like examining her past behaviour. So I really appreciated that conversation that she had with the housekeeper, and how the housekeeper treated Elsie, and that at certain points in the book you see Elsie really looking after and caring for Lara when she's ill, and Lara doing the same for Elsie when she's ill because of magical stuff that goes on. And so you see that connection and that friendship like really growing to what it was before, you know, Lara just went full, I can't think of the right word. No. Monster feels inadequate. No, it's not the vibe I was getting from. Anyway, until Lara was, you know, pre-Lara going horrible. So I really appreciated all of that. I thought that was really good. And we did get a kind of glimpse into what Dylan's life was like. Him and Lara not getting on. Lara continuing to like say the family line of Van Helsing's, we destroy magicians, magicians are evil. And Dylan just kind of continuing to get that and know he's not going to be accepted. And then Lara would get a bit of guilt about that, and kind of thinking about how he might have felt, especially when they start hearing about Dylan's diary, and how he felt in the past. So I thought all of that was really good. I still feel we haven't fully explored Dylan. I still feel there might be things from his viewpoint, like more specific of how hard it was for him, and what the click was, what the change was, where he kind of went thirst for power. And there's still very much this kind of weird relationship between him and Amari as the only magicians. And I did enjoy that he referenced that at the end. So it's not as much as Amari is like, I am not connected to you, we are done. I do enjoy that there is something, there's still something there that, especially from Dylan's, like Dylan's side, he's very much like, Amari's the only one who can like match me and can understand like what we can do, but he knows he just made bad choices. He just made very, very, very bad choices. But I think him coming from this like power, this like fate, this entitlement position, he's not happy with Amari's choices, and he doesn't want to let it go. He doesn't believe that like that can be a thing, because he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be the great person. He's supposed to like, he's allowed all of this. All of this was for him, because he has been pushed down. Because his character is a very entitled. They come from a very entitled, rich family, like high class within the supernatural bureau, and he's hidden himself. He's hidden the magicianness. So he's had all of that stuff that's built him up. At the same time, all of that stuff that's pulled him down. So he's got that sort of feeling of oppression, but also this massive feeling of entitlement as well. And I find it such an interesting like position. So I'm very intrigued by kind of where Dylan's at next, whereas Amari is like, we've been done for ages. Like, yes, it was sad. I'm warning you as someone who I thought was a friend, who I thought was my, apart from Elsie, like within the junior agent training, like my only junior agent friend. And I trusted you and you broke that trust. In terms of closure, it's nice that there was part of you that was actually caring for me, not just, wanting to betray me and steal my power. But she's like, done. We're done. There is no connection here. Whereas Dylan is still very much holding out that there is. And I'm intrigued to see where that goes in the remaining stuff. Harlow, I feel we've dealt with. I don't know if we're going to get a recurrence of her. What do you guys think? Like, do you think there's more to come from Harlow? Do you think we've finished with her? I feel that she's done to a certain extent. I'm presuming she's been imprisoned in not the infinite scary depth, but the regular. I can't remember what they call the prison, but the regular prison. So because of how her trajectory went, that she was seen and used, and she kind of saw how that all happened. Like, she's still just generally angry. She's still very entitled about things, but I don't think we're going to get any more from her. I'm not waiting for any kind of redemption from her. She's been humbled. She's not. Everyone knows about her now, and I think she's done. She's done and dusted. In terms of that. So I'm going to come back to the themes now, because I just think it is very much tied to also Amari's character arc as well. So the theme of protecting children, and that kind of real difficult relationship that Amari and Quentin have got because of that, I really appreciated Agent Magnus kind of like breaking that down for Amari and explaining, like, look, we are not always going to act rational around kids we love, because we need to protect them. It's like built into us. Even though you are more than capable, even though you've done all these amazing things, as someone who is like programmed to be the adult protector, it is hard to step back. It's hard to let that go. It's hard to like trust someone to say, right, you go off and do your thing and I'll wait here for you. That's really hard. I am hoping in future books that we do get to see a bit of brother and sister, Amari and Quentin, partners. They go and deal with some stuff, like minor stuff. Like, I don't need it to be like big world saving stuff. Just like, some small supernatural disturbances that need to be sort of like, an angry ghost or something that's causing a bit of chaos. Like, that would be really fun, where Quentin doesn't feel like he's got to protect Amari, where he can let her shine and he can appreciate her skills and she can appreciate hanging with her brother. I'd like that. That would be nice to get a little bit of that in there. I think that would be fun. But yeah, Agent Magnus is wonderful. Like, I really appreciate that. And it's weird. Like, when I was talking about the words have left my brain. The difficulties when you're writing a middle grade of adults letting children do things and without being crazy. I really enjoy I feel that Agent Magnus in this it works. Like, he's always sort of been the one that's like, I trust you. You've got skills. You've got powers. The rest of us aren't able to manage this. I've been training you. I've been doing stuff with you. You can do this. Like, it feels believable from Magnus. Like, I don't know what it is, but well done, B B Alston, because it works. It just works. So with all the twists and things that happen within the end bit, it's a middle grade. Amari's not going to die, especially when there's 2 more books. There's going to be some loophole. I thought the loophole was, that was something else I loved, meeting Anansi the spider. That was really fun. So there were so many fun things. Like, that's it. That's what I mean by like sitting with the book. Like, because I was so like getting to the end and getting all of this and finding the end goal. I forgot how many amazing places B B Alston took us on in this book. Like, the amazing different characters and like the magic and the folklore and things that he was pulling on. It was brilliant. We're going to go on to that fun stuff in a minute. So where was I going with this? Spiderwebs. So like the stories and the fates and like where people's lifelines are going and what they need to be doing. I thought the loophole was going to be that Amari was going to go somehow on some sort of different like plane of existence, because it's a magical world. There's she can have some sort of point where she goes somewhere else, but then she comes back from that. And that's where I was thinking the loophole was going to be. I did much prefer this, even though it's really heartbreaking. I did think it was much more poetic to have it as. I think the cut should have been somewhere like it was really, really hard because like we only really got it once we were shown it. And we're like, oh, okay, well, I'll believe that's a thing because he just told us it's a thing. But I think maybe it could have been like hidden further in the story that it's the power of the knife. So like you putting your power into it and wielding it, it's that object is still kind of like the time bomb, it's still going. So if you're the last person to touch it, it's on you, but if someone else takes it, it's on them. Maybe with like a different object, I don't know, so then we can relate it to that. So it was just like knowing that it's a thing. I think I just needed to know. I would have appreciated more knowing that was a thing. But we understood it as soon as Amari, like Magnus took the knife from her. We knew what that meant. That he was sacrificing himself for her, and he was protecting the kid that he loved. And I'm tearing up talking about it. It was. It just felt really. I don't have the words. It felt very like monumentous. It really fitted with Magnus's character. It fitted with their relationship. It worked for the plot because I'm still alive. But very much like in that kind of parental role of you will give up your life for your kids, and we just see Magnus doing that, and it's just. Yeah, it's making me. I'm crying. It's my eyes are welling up. My nose is all snotty. Yeah, it really moved me, and I'm glad that Amari had that chat with Fiona, where she spoke to Fiona, and Fiona was able to say, "Look, that was his choice. You can't take that away from him. Of course, I'm not going to hate you for it. Of course, you absolutely should be here because that was what he chose, and that's what I love about him. And yes, of course, I'm going to grieve because we were supposed to get married and all this stuff. It was a really real talk, and I think it's definitely what needed to happen. It wouldn't have done for Amari to have kept brooding on it. So I thought that was really well done. And the other theme that I spoke about right at the beginning of Amari sacrificing the greater good to save her friend Elsie and going, yes, fine, but take it because I need my friend to be okay. I need her to be alive. So take this. That was something that kind of recurred throughout this. And I thought it was done really cleverly, where you had the two magicians. Is he called Lucas? I can't remember his name, but I know it began with L, and Hannah. And I was very much trusting of Lucas. So I'm like, it's fine. Whereas I don't trust him. There's something about him. I just don't trust him. And we were kind of both right. Like, ultimately, Tiffany was right. He did betray Amari, but he didn't betray her until he was given that ultimatum. I just think it worked really well to kind of keep highlighting that theme. I mean, it was a good plot device in terms of moving the story on and allowing Dylan to be able to do stuff. But it reflected that theme of you will just give up everything to save that person who is special to you. And I'm going to call him Lucas, that was Hannah. And so it really reflected that Amari giving up to save Elsie. And so you can kind of understand, you kind of see where it came from. It didn't feel like betrayals that we've previously had, because you see the motivation for it, and the motivation is different. It wasn't because he was completely double crossing all the time. It's because the what's the word? It's not motivation, but it's like that. Like the threat. The threat was it was the threat of losing his friend that made him betray Amari. And then Amari then starts to think of it as she knows that she's going to be giving up her life to stop Dylan. She knows that's what she's going to do. She's made that choice. She's made that choice, and she's not telling anyone, because she knows the other way around, she would be stopping them from doing it, because she's like, no, there has to be another way. You can't die. I don't want you to die. I won't let you die. And she knows her friends are going to do the same. So I think that's really self-aware, and very kind to her friends, and also like, because they know it will be done. Like we have to stop Dylan. The world is chaos. We can't be allowed to continue. And then we see glimmers of that when we're at the climax, which I loved. I thought it was so clever, like managing to do all of that. I really felt the threat. It was great to see Amari in action. And she kind of didn't do what you expected her to do. And I really enjoyed all of that stuff. But you see it with Lara. Maria is threatened and Lara loses it. She forgets to focus on the mission. She goes for personal over duty, and she wants to save her sister. Where Amari's like, I've been here before. I know that, yes, I want to save my brother, but ultimately I know I've got to keep going. I've got to hope that he's going to be okay, because I need to stop Dylan, because if not, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. So I really enjoyed that, how that all kind of came around. It kind of went back to that theme from before. I thought that was a really lovely circular motion, and I appreciated it. Well done, B B Alston. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, done with the themes, done with the characters, done with the plot, fun stuff. Yeah, the ending as well. Fun stuff or ending first? What shall I go for? We'll end at the ending. Let's do a bit of the fun stuff. And I've got the book on my lap. It should be up there. Looking at us. So I've already mentioned like how I've really enjoyed the places that we went on, and the Haunted Mansion was one of my favourites. I really enjoyed Mrs. I'm going to need to find her name, aren't I? The lady of the house. She was brilliant. Mrs. Chamberlain? Yes, Mrs. Chamberlain. I loved Mrs. Chamberlain. I thought she was so much fun. She was just so. I can just imagine, like, if this is ever made into like a TV series, you're going to have so many people that just like so many like high caliber actors that just want to have a chance to play her, because she's like so much fun with the glamorousness, with the eccentricity, with her over dramaticness, but also she's allowing Amari to like do her thing, and she's like got a bit of an inside joke on everything. I just thought she was a brilliant character. She made me laugh a lot, and I loved her enjoyment of their wanting to break into this gala, and she's like, yeah, sure, I'll help you. Now, obviously, who's going to be me? That's the important one. I really enjoyed all of that stuff. I thought it was great. And her son Boo, and how excited they were that he was taking his first haunting and that he was going to haunt Jaden. I thought that was really funny. And I love how Boo kind of joins their crew. And I love that we got the resurrection of the Nightmare character. Amari found him back in the Great Game, and she rescued his little shadow. And then he's acting as like one of Dylan's heavies. So then he realizes that it's too much for him. So I really love that we got to see him again, and Amari got to have that chat. Like, this isn't you. What are you doing here? You're not this guy. I really enjoyed all of that. It felt slightly like as reflections and aspects of the real world. You could see this in like a contemporary story as well. I really just enjoyed that. I thought that was a lot of fun. And the whole haunted house aspect, and how it was like Halloween and all the things that they did and all their celebrations, and then also hearing about like well-known like Gothic characters. Like, we got to meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I thought that was so fun. I really appreciated that was in there. It was great. It was like love all of these like characters from mythology like appear, and then we got a Nancy the spider later on, and it's all of this wonderful whimsy that I love so much. I can't love anyone as much as I love Mrs. Walters. That's another thing I want for book 4. I want to see Mrs. Walters again. All of the Mrs. Walters. She's my fave. She's my fave. She can't be surpassed, and I want her back playing cards, please. Thank you, B B Alston. I hope she comes back in book 4 because she's just awesome. Who are your favourite like side characters, like whimsy places? Like what little bits and pieces of this did you just absolutely relish and take great delight in? I would love to hear all about that. Please tell me. I think that's it. Yeah, I think we can go to the ending. I think that was just like a little slither of all the fun stuff that I really enjoyed. And that's one of the things that makes Amari so great. Like the whimsy of the world mixed with the plot, mixed with emotional beats and character arcs. It just all comes together in the perfect package for me. Yes, I said there were certain things I wanted to see a little bit more of and I would have enjoyed exploring. But ultimately, this was a fantastic story. Just couldn't stop reading. Like, me and Tiffany were just going through it. We were just racing through it. It was just like, we need to keep going. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And I just love the layers of tension that B B Alston gives in here and these moments of like worry. And I haven't even spoken about all of them. I think it would just take too long to do that. I've already spoken more than what I was thinking of. And there's no way I'm talking about middle grade readers' choice awards because we're just not going to have time. So I'm just going to talk about the ending, where we are at the end. So ultimately, Harlow's in prison. Ultimately, Dylan's in prison. And Amari is not sure, like she's really shaken by Magnus sacrificing himself for her. As much as she's spoken to people, as much as she's tried to like come to terms with it, I think she's still going to suffer from the after effects, and she's going to need to deal with that going forward. And I think she is aware that there's some weird connection between her and Dylan being the only two born magicians, and now therefore the only two magicians in existence in the supernatural world. So I really enjoyed that twist. I did not see that coming, that it was the crown. I thought she needed to kill Dylan, but it was the crown and the source of the magic that she destroyed. And I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was really like it was game changer. And it was kind of there's still this like sense that Dylan has got a lot of apologizing, a lot of groveling, a lot of character growth to do, but Amari is still holding on to that he could have a chance. He could choose to reflect that he made a lot of bad choices, and that was amplified by the crown and that power-hungry craze, and maybe he can come back to himself, because she saw that glimpse in the Great Game. She saw that glimpse before Cosmo hardened it all. But she wants to just cut. She just wants to cut this connection. She doesn't want it. She doesn't want it to follow her. She doesn't want anyone in her family. She doesn't want this to continue. She doesn't want to be constantly pulled into this bond. She wants nothing to do with it. And her way of doing that is to leave the supernatural world entirely. I think it's that simple. I don't think it's that simple, Amari. I feel that's where her motivation is. I wasn't completely certain when I finished reading. I was like, what she done? What? But on sitting reflecting on it, I was like, it's to break that bond with Dylan. It's because if she renounces the supernatural world, then maybe she can like have a break, start afresh without anyone like trying to do crazy magical world takeover things. So I thought it was a really interesting way to end. I feel we're going to get some more soul searchy bits. I would not mind going into book 4 at a bit of a calmer pace. I feel that the link is that Dylan's still there. I would also like some angry former magicians because they're still around. Like they have no power now because Amari stabbed that crown and destroyed their power source. So now they're just regular humans, like she was. And obviously she showed that she can still be amazing without magic. It's not everything. You are still you. Just an added extra. So I would like to hear from some former magicians. I would love to kind of hear some of the stuff that they missed, some of the things that they did, and what their natural gifts were, and kind of like coming back around from that. It very much feels like the aftermath of the big war. So I'm really looking forward to like having some calm moments of like picking up the pieces, recognizing where we are. Elsie needs to go to Oxford. Amari needs that awkwardness, and I want to hear from Elsie. I would now like some Elsie points of view, please. I want to hear about Elsie, her struggles with word reckoning, her time in Oxford, missing her friends. I want some of that as well. But obviously, I don't want her to stay there. Maybe something happens there. Maybe Amari goes to Oxford as well to help. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But I'd like a few sort of more emotional beats, slowly easing back into it, seeing the world pick up before we get thrown into any kind of like big disasters or what's going on. But I feel like maybe like a gang of angry magicians that are angry at Amari because she took away their power. And obviously Dylan is going to be weeding away in the background. But I'd like to not necessarily, I'd like a little bit of a break, but then we get him full on again in the fifth book. I don't know what the resolution is going to be. I don't know where we go from here. And obviously I want Amari back at the Bureau and training under Agent Fiona. And let's see where we go from there. Please tell me in the comments, what are your hopes for book 4? Where do you think the story is going to go from here? What bits did you love? What bits didn't you love from book 3? You know I love a chat. Thank you so much for watching. It's been really enjoyable to like really give you all of my Amari thoughts in a big splurge. I hope you have enjoyed watching. Please give a like to this video. Thank you everyone who's already liked in the live. I really do appreciate that. And I will see you soon, and we can all get excited for the release date for book 4 when that comes out. But in the meantime, start seeing what other books have been published this year, and start getting ready to let me know what books you would like to see in the Middlegrade Reader's Choice Awards. Happy reading, everyone!